Hello, Erica here, and I'm here today to film my wrap-up for the 24 in 48 Readathon. For those of you who are not aware, the 24 in 48 Readathon ran from July 11th to 12th. Yes. And it's a readathon where you try to read for a period of 24 hours within a 48-hour period. So, I did pretty well. I had to work a little bit on Saturday, and I had to work all of Sunday evening, so that significantly cut into my available reading time, because I also needed to sleep to be able to work, so that's alright. I ended up reading about 15 hours and about 1,300 pages. So, without further ado, I will show you what I read. I kicked off the readathon pretty light, and I read the second volume of Miss Marvel, which is Generation Y. This is by G. Willow Wilson. And this is a series about a new Miss Marvel character, but she is a Pakistani girl living in Jersey City. I really like the series. I'm not huge into superhero comics, so that part of it doesn't do much for me. But I ended up giving this volume 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read a collection of poetry, which is Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. I did not find out until after I had read this that these are the poems that the musical Cats is based on. And I don't know why I didn't know that. I've actually seen that musical, and when I was reading them, I was like, man, these sound really familiar. I wonder if I've read these before. But no, it turns out, musical. These were fun. They were fine. They weren't anything stupendous. It was okay. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. Then I read the Duel by Giacomo Casanova. This is a novella from Melville House's Art of the Novella series. And this was published in, I believe, 1789, and it is a semi-autobiographical story about a man who gets into a tiff and instigates a duel in Poland. Giacomo Casanova is an Italian author, so this was translated. Again, it was fine. It wasn't anything extraordinary to me, and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished on day 1 was Pippi Longstocking by Astrid Lindgren. This, of course, is the beloved children's classic about Pippi, who's strong as a horse and does crazy things all the time, apparently. I had never read it. It was really enjoyable, really cute. Great book for a readathon, and I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. After that, I read the Poor Clare by Elizabeth Gaskell. This is another novella from Melville House, and this is a story told from the point of view of a man who is investigating a family's history in order to make sure that an inheritance properly passes down the line, or what have you. And during that, he encounters some pretty gothic happenings and kind of crazy characters. I really liked it. It's not at all like anything I've read by Elizabeth Gaskell before. It was a little bit darker, a little bit more gothic, and I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars as well. So those were all the books that I finished on day 1. On day 2, I finished The Beggar by Alice Munro, which is a collection of short stories. I absolutely adored this. These stories are intertwined because they follow the same 2 characters, Flo and Rose, throughout the collection. And I thought it was beautiful. I did read most of this on day 1, but I finished up the last 3 stories or so on day 2. So yeah, this was fantastic. I will do a review of it, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. On day 2, I also read 2 more graphic novels. I read the second volume of Rat Queens. This was not nearly as good as the first volume. I really liked the first volume. This narrative was a little bit convoluted. I think if I had read this in single issues instead of the trade, I would have been totally confused and probably have given up on the series because it doesn't really make sense or follow any sort of pattern. I don't know. There was something weird about it. It didn't sit right with me. I did end up giving it 3 stars. I liked it. I didn't love it. And I also read volume 1 of Sweet Tooth, which was fabulous. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I don't want to give too much away about the storyline, but I will talk about it a little bit in my next comics wrap-up video. I also read one more collection of poetry on Sunday, and that was The World's Wife by Carol Duffy. These are poems told from the point of view of favorite historical characters' wives. So, like, there's a poem from Queen Kong, and one from Queen Herod, and etc., etc. So the poems are told from the point of view of these wives, and some of them are like really sharp and biting and funny, and some of them were kind of sad and beautiful and lyrical. I like the collection overall. It wasn't my favorite poetry collection that I've read lately, but I did give it 3 out of 5 stars, and I thought that it had some really interesting themes and messages throughout. So those are all the books I finished, but on Sunday I also read the majority of Orillia by George Saunders, which is another collection of short stories. I ended up finishing this very early Monday morning. This was absolutely fabulous, and I loved it. So I think I read about 175 pages of this, and then I had to go to work. And I was hoping I was going to get home from work before midnight so I could finish this and say that I read it during the readathon, but I did not get home from work until after midnight on Sunday, so I missed the end of the readathon, which is fine, but I did read most of this during that. I absolutely adored this collection. George Saunders is a genius. I will do a review of this as well, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. So yes, that is all I read for 24 in 48. Please let me know if you participated and how you did. If you want to chat about any of the things that I read, I would love to do so in the comments, and I will be back soon. Bye.